Good morning, everybody. I'm at Will Paley's garage in an undisclosed location outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And today we're going to be working on my R50. It needs a couple of things. It needs a new boot. We'll go check that out. Driveshaft boot. I've been using duct tape to seal that hole up. We're going to replace that today. And we need to go ahead and do our annual maintenance on the exhaust collars here. It's important that we do that so they don't seize up. So what we're doing right now is we're gonna remove the tank. Will's currently draining the tank, getting all the gas out of it.
And we can do the exhaust wells.
And we'll do the exhaust as part of the process of moving the engine forward so we have enough room to slide in the new exhaust boot. That's what we're gonna be doing today. So here we go. So here we go, we're gonna start to loosen this collar, see how it feels. And this bike has been well maintained, so I'm hoping for the best. And it already moved a little bit. So I think we're good. That was real easy, not a lot of force at all. So we'll see if we can keep going here. These road bars are getting in the way a little bit.
For what it's worth, I have mixed feelings about crash bars, because if you bend your frame, it's going to be a lot more of a job than if you break a
That's true.
cylinder off.
So that's coming off nicely. And we're going to do the other side and see how that goes. Hopefully it'll go smoothly. If these aren't done on a regular basis, they can seize up. And if you're not careful, you can turn the threads right off the head and cost yourself a real headache. But good news, this side was just as easy as the other side.
That's good. This is a new exhaust.
So in order to get the drive shaft boot off, we've got to take the exhaust off so we can move the engine forward. And Will's already busy taking that bolt out, and now he's working on the clamp down here so we can access those parts easier. After removal of the clamp, we slip that muffler off. There's just those two bolts that had to be loosened. And Will's finishing up this side with that rear clamp. He's already done the front, so we'll be able to just pull that exhaust right off. This is the next clamp we're removing up towards the manifolds. The entire front part of the exhaust. The headers. And Will's got that all set on his side. So the whole exhaust system has now been removed. Now it's time to take off the crossover tube on the gas tank. We're going to let the expert do this. Let's see if we can wiggle that hose off.
This is always a
There it is.
messy project.
And we got a pan right where we need it. I don't think he spilled a drop of gas. Continuing with the tank removal, we've got this nut and bolt that goes through the front of the tank. It's a 13, and then we have under here the mounts right here that hold the tank on. And those are all 13s. Once we get those off, we can pull the tank. So we've removed the through bolt here for the front of the tank, and then taken out the two 13s that go mount from the bottom up. And now Will's about to remove the tank. Had to remove or loosen the petcock to get it out of the way there. So the next step here is going to be to remove this top motor mount. Now it's time to take these two clamps off and then pull the boot down. What that top mount looks like after you remove the hardware so you can slide the engine forward. So Will is going to drain the fluid from the drive shaft tube. He took the filler bolt out.
And the drain is already out.
And the drain plug is already out, and that's the Is that the fluid? Nothing came out, right?
Just a few drops.
Just a few drops of thicker fluid. Here, we already had some gasoline in that pan.
It's one of the messiest jobs of normal maintenance. Just holding this back out of the way so we can get the fasteners off that go between the drive shaft and the transmission. And so you can use the back wheel to turn things around.
Those hex heads.
Those are little Allen bolts, which we're going to replace with the more modern version.
So right here and here. How many are there? Are there 4? Those need to come out so we can move that back to fit the new boot on. Removal of those Allen head bolts. All 4 of the Allen head bolts are out from the drive shaft. Bill is going to remove this engine mount through bolt, and it's moving nicely with the punch. That's a good sign. And here it is over here. And it pulls right out. There you go. The rear mount bolt was removed. We put a little pressure on it with the jack. The engine still wouldn't tilt up. There's a spacer here that could be holding us up, but we'll suggest that we loosen up the front mount, the front engine mount up there, and that's what we're going to do next. Seems that loosening that front lower mount bolt did the trick, and we'll just crank the engine up a little bit and it moved. But now we've got some interference with the crash bars. So we've got to take care of that. Pulling the crash bars out of the way, and Will is jacking up the rear of the engine.
That's as far as I dare to go.
And that's as far as he's going right now. Is it going to need to go higher?
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to check it out, see what it looks like. So here's the room we gain by releasing the motor mounts and tipping the engine forward. And this should be enough, Will was just saying, to slide on the new boot,
I think,
without damaging it. So now that we know we can get that boot off easily, we're all set. And now we can cut it to make it easier, and we should be able to slide the new boot on. So at Will's suggestion, we're going to replace these old Allens with these new bolts here. And we're just gonna, those lock washers, he's just gonna bend those back so they've got some spring to them because they were crushed flat. And we're also going to put some blue Loctite on the threads of the new bolts so that they don't come loose. Like the old ones that we were removing came off way too easy. They weren't loose, but they were only a little beyond finger tight. So we're going to make sure that these don't come out because that can cause a lot of problems. So here's the universal joint. Even though there wasn't much fluid left, there was enough to lubricate it well, and everything looks like it should and moves like it should. The boot's off, and now we've got to reverse everything we just did. Put the new boot on, drop the engine back down, put the mounts on, etc. So Will just got the first bolt started, and it was pretty difficult because of the lack of space and feel and ability to turn it and get it started and match up the back end of the transmission and drive shaft. Took a couple minutes, but we got it. The rest of them should go quicker. So all 4 of those new 12-point bolts are in and snug. Now we just got to torque them and then we can slide the boot on the transmission side and put the clamp on. So we put the boot back, the new boot in. It slid on really easy, and we dropped the engine, and Will is now putting the rear engine mount bolt through the frame and the engine. So it's reassembly time. Boot is on, clamps are installed and tightened up, and it's now time to move to the forward part, put the crash bars back in position. Here is Will's setup for filling up the drive shaft with the fluid, 150 cc's of.
Well, I'm using 40 weight.
40 weight oil.
Older one.
Crash bars are back on, and Will is mounting up the top engine mount. Mount the headers, put a little anti-seize on here, and here's the header here all nice and cleaned up, and we're going to install that right now. So just finishing tightening up the collars here. Got the new copper crush ring on. This is the one for the other side. Before you tighten the front header collar, make sure you've got the clamp and the peg set up correctly. Putting the exhaust back together and getting this clamp on here and squeezing this tight while putting that nut on was probably the hardest part of this whole process. Once I got that hung up, slipped on the muffler and tightened this clamp right here, and now I'm going to put the hanger bolt on the rear hanger, and this side exhaust will be buttoned up. And the tank is going back on the bike. Next step. Turn the petcock so it's out of the way of the frame. And we're gonna put the front bolt in, put the mount in the bottom.
Do a quick.
Gas tank bolt is back in the front. Mounts back together underneath the tank. Crossover tube is hooked up, and the petcock is hooked up to the gas line. Just put the air cleaner back on and we'll pretty much be done. All buttoned up with new exhaust gaskets and a new drive shaft boot, thanks to Will Paley. He's inspecting his work over here. Thanks, Will.